Hello to all that are watching. This is my internship presentation for the annual fund internship in the Office of Advancement for the spring of 2016. So a little bit of how I got this internship. Initially, I found a posting online, and so then I applied and I came in and I interviewed with Stacy Tucker Potter and Chad Knirk, and that process was pretty streamlined. It was just one round, and within a few weeks after I found out that I received the position. So, as a part of my daily routine, I would walk into the office and I would say hello to both of the lovely secretaries. They are seriously your best friend and they know everything in the office. And now we're going back to Becky Pike. She's great. She knows all the things about the foundation. Here's copiers. And of course, the perks of working in the office when people bring in food. It was my last day, so maybe those were for me, but I'm not really sure. Brad, great guy, not there, but that's okay. Finally, to the cubicle. So I would come here and drop off my things and get everything set up, open up my email, maybe see a few annual fund interns walking around. So then I would walk up to the front and ask Stacy and Chad what they would want me to do for that day. So you can see this is their office. And you go on one side of the cubicle and look, there's Chad. Just wait for me. And then I go on the other side. Stacy wasn't there, but that is her space. And then I would go back to my cubicle and work on my regular duties. So some of the areas that my education really helped me and gave me that competitive advantage was definitely with message creation. For instance, I took persuasion theory in the same semester as I was working within my internship. And that was really exciting because I got to use a lot of the theories and tools, and I was able to bring them directly to the workplace and apply them. Another way that my education really helped me, specifically in the communication department, was this essence of creativity and problem solving, because the communication department definitely allowed me to pursue more of an interdisciplinary approach. So, for instance, I took a lot of classes that varied in topic within the major, but also I was able to explore outside of the major to some different topics. And that was really nice because within those classes, I was challenged in my critical thinking from different disciplines, which I believe I learned how to effectively integrate all of those. So I just expanded my toolbox. But I think by taking some of those upper elective communication classes that really challenged you to think from a lot of different perspectives really helped me in this position to pull from a lot of experience and knowledge that I have from class and integrate them in order to identify problems, think of solutions, but think of them creatively and innovatively, and maybe pull from some of those persuasion, people understanding how they think and how they work really helped me in this position. Speaking of knowledge of people, being able to observe others and their habits was something that really benefited me in this position, mainly because a lot of what I did was working with people, a lot of working with people. And in addition, knowing how people process and respond to different types of information and why they respond to those different types of information was really effective for this internship, because as you're planning events, most of my events focused around education, ideologies, that type of, and like instilling a sense of pride. So understanding what types of methods would resonate with different people effectively was crucial in order to not waste anyone's time planning these events and to make sure that we maximize impact that we had. In addition, a lot of the projects that I had within the communication major pushed me to go outside of the classroom and actually implement these projects on campus. So I was able to understand from previous experiences and projects working among students exactly what they resonate with. And I've had to pull from a lot of past experiences of what did and didn't work. So, truly, I think having projects that don't just isolate to in class, but actually get students out and implement their projects and their events was really crucial, especially as a learning tool for a more real world setting. One of the things that it did not necessarily prepare me for were some barriers when it came to organizational and interpersonal communication. Granted, I did not take organizational communication nor interpersonal communication because we only have so many classes, but I think those two would have really, really helped me. For instance, understanding the hierarchy and the climate and the culture of different workplaces and how to respond to that. A lot of the difficulties I had was knowing where my place was in this internship. For instance, I would get free reign for a lot of things, and then all of a sudden I wouldn't get any free reign for anything. And a lot of their messaging wasn't very direct. So I think an increase or maybe more awareness of those two topics would have really benefited me. And I encourage anyone to take advantage of those classes. So, a quick summary of my very extensive involvement in this internship was initially, right off the bat, I was given an organization that was supposed to serve as a bridge between the Office of Advancement and the student body. It had kind of fallen off the marker previously because there was just a lack of motivation and commitment. So when I came in, they said, rebuild it the way that we had originally intended it to be. So that was something I did. I did the recruitment process, I did all the meetings, I organized most of the events, I mobilized the members, I also selected new leadership, and I've guided those leaders to hopefully be ready to take over the organization. And I've also just earned them some recognition at the foundation board banquet. I think it's really important for anyone who takes over this organization to realize that the members have to understand that this council is a privilege essentially, and it is elite and it is an honor. So in order for members to understand that it is an honor, there needs to be relationships, a working relationship built between the officers of advancement, the foundation board, and the SPC. Another cool thing that I got to do this semester was focus on an ideology driven event, which was Random Acts of Kindness Day. Essentially, they wanted to promote this idea of the little things actually do make this huge impact. And it's not always buying the $100 gift for your friend or paying for their tab when you go out to eat. It's very simple things like holding the door for someone or giving someone a piece of candy. And I achieved that by getting the members directly involved. So, for instance, doing a lot of organic peer to peer engagement instead of just pushing out messages to really get members out there, pulling people in, and doing these legit acts that were authentic and you could visually see it. Another thing that I was able to do was join the alumni relations team that was self initiated. Very important working in this internship is a lot of relationship building and working together among offices has to be personally initiated. Sometimes them working together isn't always come across their mind initially, so that's always a good opportunity to take advantage of. So essentially, with the student giving campaign coming up in a few weeks, SPC members identified that something we should focus on is education, educating people what Truman does and the importance of giving. So, for National Truman Spirit Day, I implemented an educational tool, which was called a faux giving campaign. And a part of that day, I decided that Truman kind of doesn't really focus on a lot of organic types of promotions. So I had this idea for National Truman Spirit Day to recruit the university videographer and have him just capture students that are in the sub and ask them why they love Truman. And so he did that. He gave me the footage and I ended up putting that footage together. It was just really exciting to get to see in a very positive, motivating way of why students love Truman, and I think it tied in really nicely as a promotional piece to the student giving campaign in a few weeks that was very driven towards students supporting students. On top of that, with a student giving campaign, I worked with a
potential foundation match of $10,000 if we had 1,000 students pledge. So that was a very hierarchical. That event had a lot of logistics, a lot of planning, and a lot of reaching out to other organizations on campus and actually getting them together to raise money for this cause. In addition, I presented to the foundation board, which was a fantastic honor. I was able to talk about what I had accomplished, and some of the foundation board members even asked me of how to improve in any types of recommendations that I would have. So, as an undergraduate student being asked by the foundation board what I would recommend them to do, it was pretty cool. One of the projects that I really enjoyed doing was tackling the National Truman Spirit Day and integrating an educational tool within that event. So, mainly because I kind of came up with it on my own. So, for instance, it was a lot of getting students to be cognitively engaged and to form like an interactive activity paired with an educational concept, which resulted in this idea of a faux giving campaign. So essentially, I had 3 bowls designated, each one to a certain fund. I had some faux dollars. And so I would ask students or the person that was working the table to place the $5 faux dollars in a certain jar of their choice, and they were labeled organization. So, supporting an organization that you're involved with on campus, student assistance, so like scholarships, and academic department, going back to your area of study and benefiting that specific major or study. And I thought that was really interesting because whatever bowl that they decided to choose, I would give them a sheet of paper, and on one side would have kind of a mock way of how that donation benefited that specific fund. And then on the back, there would be facts about the foundation. So there wasn't a lot of students that had come out to the event, but from the students that did come and they did participate, a lot of them said it was very informative because they didn't really know a lot about the foundation. They said that it was unique and cool because it made them stop and think about where they would most want their money to go, and it made them choose. So stopping and cognitively engaging in something should instill the sense of memory within their minds of what it's like to give to Truman State. I guess I really liked this because it wasn't something that my managers thought would work. They didn't really see the need for educating students. They thought it was just a distraction. They didn't think students would want it because there wasn't an incentive. So, with the foundation, a lot of people think no matter what effort you do, there has to be some sort of like fundraising element that benefits the foundation. But I kind of persisted anyway and tried to say, like, hey, we need to educate students in a very fun and engaging way of how the foundation works and how donating works. Some of the things I learned about my personal working style was that regardless, I do like having a lot of free reign in order to brainstorm and be creative and implement some of my ideas. I still like working in a team setting. For instance, when I wanted to plan this event, I wanted to reach out to a lot of different offices and make it a collaborative effort. Mainly, I mean, I like to collaborate with different people, collaborate ideas, collaborate brainstorming sessions instead of just saying, well, this is what I want to do and like this is how it's going to be. I like listening to a lot of different ideas and trying to give and take and merge. I also like having challenges. I really need those challenges. The monotonous work is something that really does not motivate me at all. Luckily, for the first half of my internship, a lot of it was very challenging because it was a lot on me, and I got to kind of take control and delegate and enlist people to help me. And towards the end, a lot of it was very much like email heavy communication. One of the difficulties I had was accepting certain strategies and paths that I didn't necessarily think would work. But sometimes there are people that are above you that override what you recommend and they go for something that they think would work better, even though I know that that's not the method that would be most effective. So that's something that I want to focus on more, is being a learner and being a listener and trying to follow direction instead of being such a gun-ho initiator. I definitely want to find mentors or a workplace that I believe are in line with my working styles. So for instance, I really like doing like innovative, creative things, trying new things, but I think this position was a little bit too focused on what has been done in the past, and there wasn't a lot of innovation. To find that type of environment and become a product of my environment, foster working relationships among all departments, so it's a collaborative effort, was something that I found really enjoyable. All in all, this internship was fantastic despite all of the hurdles I had to go through and some of the learning, the tough learning that I had to go through of working with people. This definitely showed me exactly what I wanted to do after graduation. I got to experience a lot of different things, from management to campaign building to communicating to people building. There was a lot of different aspects of this internship, and it has informed me of what I want to pursue after graduation.